I have this Cub Cadet riding mower here that the other day I ran over a stick while I was mowing, and the stick got up and it got tangled up in the drive belt. So not the belt that drives the blades, but the belt that drives the mower itself. And the belt slipped off of the pulley, and it also broke this little cooling fan that's supposed to cool the transmission. This thing's actually called a hydro fan. And so it was quite a little task to get in there and take the remainder of the fan off of the spindle, off the pulley, and to be able to put the belt back in place, because you got to remove that little pulley that's under there. And I'm going to show you real quick how I was able to do it. These are the tools that I used in order to do it. So I had just a regular ratchet here, and this is about a 10-inch extension. And on my mower, it was a 3/4 inch socket that fit on the nut. And I had a pair of vice grips. I also had something to use for a breaker bar, and you're probably going to need that. That nut was really hard to get off of there. And so this was the easiest way I could find to do it. Now I also used a little block of wood, and I'm going to show you what you need to do with this in a minute. This actually was just a little bit long. This is about 7 inches long, and it's a piece of 2x2. So ideally about a 6-inch long piece of scrap wood is going to come in real handy. And I had somebody to help me do this, so I was working from underneath and he was working from the top. But if you have to do it by yourself, you're going to need something like a roll of tape. This is just masking tape, and this could work, and you could also use duct tape. So I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a minute. And then this is what made it all work, was this penetrating oil. We actually tried to remove that nut for quite a while and were really torquing on it, and it just would not budge. And we decided to try some penetrating oil, and sure enough, after it soaked in for about 10 minutes, the nut came off, fairly easily. Now, over here on the tractor, I've already got, you're going to have to drop the deck. And then I've removed the battery. And on my model, this battery box just lifts right out of here. So there's nothing holding it in there but gravity. And then down in there is the nut. That's the pulley that's down in there where the fan would sit. Hopefully you can see that. And then that nut right on top is the nut that needs to come off. And then of course the issue is that that pulley spins. There's nothing locking it in place, and there's no hole or groove in it, so there was no way to slip a screwdriver or anything down in there. So that's where I'm going to show you how to deal with that here in just a minute. So bear with me. So here we're under the tractor now, and that's the pulley right there. And I've already got the vice grips on it, so I just clipped them onto the top bit of that pulley as some way to hold it in place, because you can see, hopefully you can see, it just spins because it just drives the pump in this transmission. There's nothing holding it in place. So this is where you need this little block of wood, and that's where this one was just a little bit longer than ideal. But what you do, what I did, was you can slip this block of wood in here and wedge it up against your vice grips, which are holding against the pulley, and then it'll wedge up against that piece of frame right there, and that's going to allow you to hold the pulley still so you can put enough torque on it to get that nut off of there. Now again, I had somebody to help me, so I was working from underneath holding the block in place, and he was working from the top with the ratchet and the breaker bar to get the nut off. But if you have to do it by yourself, this is where this tape is going to be your best friend, because you just need a way to tape that all in place temporarily. And so again, I'm pretty sure you could do it with masking tape and also with duct tape if you have either of those. And it doesn't have to be pretty, just enough to hold it all in place so that this can't move on you and that block of wood can't fall out, which is, you know, then you're going to have to start all over, so that you can get back up and do what you need to do. So once that's in place, or if you have somebody holding it, then the rest of it's fairly straightforward. So bear with me. Don't forget to apply your penetrating oil. So you can just spray some of that right down in there onto the threads of that nut. Give it about 10 minutes, at least that's what I did. And then it's just a matter of, you know, I got my ratchet with my extension and reach in there and it fits right in there onto that nut. And then, you know, again, you're gonna most likely need something to use for a breaker bar so that you can get some good torque on that thing, because it, again, if I didn't already say this, that nut was really on there, man. I had a heck of a time getting it off. The penetrating oil, again, really saved us. Okay, so it was that easy. Once the nut is off, the whole thing just comes apart. The fan piece slips right off, and the pulley comes right off, and then there's a little guard in there that holds the belt in place, so you've got to lift the pulley up enough to get the belt. See if you can see that, but you got to get the belt back into that little keeper that's supposed to keep it from slipping out. I was able to order the fan online on eBay. It was about $14, but you might be able to get one local from a, you know, retail place. You'd probably pay a little bit more, but you know, if you need it sooner rather than later. I'm not even 100% sure how much cooling that little fan does. It's, you know, if it's absolutely necessary to put back on, but I'm going to replace mine when my part comes in the mail. So anyways, that's how I did it, and hopefully if you have to do one of these, if you have to replace the drive belt or that fan or both, hopefully this will help you be able to do it yourself. Okay, thanks for watching.